Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I think this is a choice between playing Chi and changing, and I think Chi is better. It's 22 points. The rack leave isn't disastrous, and it's not providing anything massive for my opponent. Well, there's some synergy going on with these tiles, with the high-scoring tiles. I've got Whim and Y. It would be good to play off one of the I's, but with no other vowels, the duplicate I is not a disaster. And I have eyes for going underneath the Q, but Whim doesn't play there. Wow, great start for my opponent. 78 points. I don't have a bingo with this rack. And I'm looking to see what I've got across the top of inlaced. And I do have my high in that spot. It does keep W and Y, which is not great. So do I have anything better? W and H can play underneath A and C. But that's where the story ends. I could play Witchy through the C, but that takes an S and a T in front, so that's not great. Let me see what my high scores. Well, what about playing with instead? I think that's probably better. Yes, it scores more. And the rack leave is a little more tractable. With takes an S in front. M and Y have some synergy. With does take a Y after it, but I can't see anywhere great for that. I'm going with this. Well, I'm loving the I's this game. It's the only vowel I've had so far, and this is my fifth one. Now I no longer have the H for going underneath the C. And the I isn't a particularly useful vowel on this board. With has blocked limbic in column 11. So I'm not seeing any great candidate moves. I don't have an S or an N for going underneath Chi. I can't extend in down to the bottom, but that possibility may occur in future. I have Blimey on my rack, nowhere for it. But there's very little for anything on this board for me. I guess I can put a B in front of IN. But I can't even see how to play a four-letter play in that spot. Wow, fantastic start for my opponent. 83 points, so he's now 90 points in the lead. What to do with this rack? It doesn't feel bad enough to change. But so far I've seen no candidate plays. And I'm looking to play off at least one I and two of my high-scoring tiles. I could play limbs, 18 points, keeping I, that's pretty grim. I'm just wondering if I've got a parallel play to Harrisets. My I's go in front of S and T. But I'm not seeing such a play. I could play I am by through the A of inlaced. Well, this is tricky. And I'm 90 points behind, so I'm a little reluctant to block the board up. I Can't see anything down from the C, apart from climb. But it's the Rackley which really troubles me. Double IY is pretty bad as a rack leave. I'm going to change. And I'm getting rid of all 7. Okay, that's not massively better. Great continuing score for my opponent, 52 points. So I'm drawn to playing underneath AX because I've got the E for going underneath AX. So I could play Def. I'm just wondering if there's a way of playing off one more consonant. Keeping 4 consonants is asking for trouble. Well, I can, but it retains the F. I could play Drent. £25 points, burning all my bingo-y tiles. And not a great score. Can I do better? Well, I'm not sure I can. And I can't see anywhere for fend, which would leave a better rack leave, apart from on top of in. And I think I do need to play here. I'm not blocking the board up. I'm opening a new bingo lane in row L. Still the E and S of Harris sets available. So Drent for 25. I draw 3 O's. A long way from a bingo, and I'm 110 points behind. And Chi has already blocked the development of the board in the top left. Although there is a 7-letter lane in row J. However, I can start to open the top of the board with a play of oof or food. Or even fooled, except fooled does not open the board up so as much because Finn takes nothing in front of it. So absolutely tremendous start for my opponent. Back-to-back bingos and a 50-point 50-point X play. But still 1 blank to come and 59 tiles in the bag. And opponent taking a while with this move. So what if oof is blocked? Do I have anything down from the D? Can't see anything. What about a play making axed? Well, I've got dual, but it would be nice to play off the F because that's non-bingo-y. Do I have a play ending in D? No, I don't. However, I do have fooled ending under la for over 30 points, so that would be quite nice. Okay, my opponent takes out the first spot I was considering. Jin rather takes an A in front for future reference. And I have fooled for 31. And I'm going with it. I have Obelion. And I'm not sure if that takes an S. It may do. Let's have a look. No, it doesn't. But Obelion itself is fine. Nowhere for that right now. Just checking it doesn't play underneath Fooled, and it doesn't. Nice score for my opponent. He still hasn't scored less than 30. So, what to do with this rack? My B can go above the O of Fooled. So I could play Lobo. Keeping EIN, that's not great. And it's really tightening the board up. And it's taking out the Row J bingo lane. Row J bingo lane, Obelion. Wow, that nearly passed me by. So 79 points. I don't think there's anywhere else for it. So I imagine some of you were shouting at the screen there. So Obelion for 79. And that looks a little better. Through a W, I would have Ovenware. I'm still 70 points behind with my opponent on turn, so I'm in a pretty dire position. And 2/3 of the tiles have been played or are on our racks. Gosh, I so nearly missed that lane. Well, I had previously identified the lane, I'd just forgotten about it. I think my high takes an S. So row O remains a bingo lane. I may check that when I have an S. 45 points for my opponent. He's 110 in the lead. No 7-letter bingos on this rack that I can see. Close to Venereal onto the L, but I can't see a bingo there. So how can I sort this out? I do have an A for going in front of Jin. I'd like to get rid of the V. So I could play Devon, but that keeps A-double-E-R. 27 points, but it's providing a couple of useful floaters, and it's getting rid of the V. What about a play down from the B? BA or BO? Well, I have Baron, but I am looking to play off the V. So what about playing Vo? And that is opening a new bingo lane in row N. It's also giving me the option of creating another new lane next go by front hooking Vo with an E. And the rack leave is pretty good, and I'm retaining the precious A. And I note column 2 also available for bingos ending in A. And the E of Obelion is a useful floater. So Vo for 17. Am I missing a better spot for it? V does go in front of IS, but only S and T go in front of HE. Dev is good, but that doesn't help me. I'm going with this. I draw all vowels, so pretty grim rack. And I don't have a 3-letter play beginning with E to sort it out. I think I really need to play 3 vowels, so maybe AIA and JAR. And that would generate a new bingo lane in column 3, but at the expense of obstructing the E floater in Obelion. Let me look at the remaining vowel situation. 14 out of 37. Okay, so it's a vowel light bag, but not hugely so. Now, can the top of the board be developed? Jipper was a nice play by my opponent. Very hard to build from it because it's hard to find a parallel play. And a vertical play just invites a parallel play in response. So not a nice rack for my opponent, but he manages to obstruct some bingo lanes and sort it out to some extent, it would appear. So my AIA spot has gone. I do have that in row F. Again, only takes an F in front, not a particularly useful floater. Sorry, not a particularly useful hook, since there is only one F to come, and F is not a particularly bingo-y tile. I'd quite like to leave the G alone because I've got I and N. So what about playing ear? The bag is vowel light, slightly. I am opening a new bingo lane in row O, which hopefully will distract my opponent. And this rack leave, if I draw consonants, may provide an ing bingo in column 3. And I'm retaining the A for again. And the bingo in row F does not have to end A, it could end AN, and I've got one of those as well. So ear for 16. I draw 2 U's. Pretty awful. And I draw the F, so that was a dreadful pickup. I kept AEIN and I picked FW. The remaining tiles pretty bingo-y with 2 S's and a blank and 3 E's to come, plus some R's and T's. So what to do with this rack? I'd really like to play off both U's at the same time. May not be able to do that. Okay, nice play by my opponent. He takes out the ING lane. So is this bad enough to change? I am 110 points behind. There are 20 tiles in the bag. There are a couple of good bingo lanes coming off FE and beginning with R, which I'd like to leave available. So I could play QF here. It's only 9 points. It's creating a bingo lane, which will be difficult for my opponent to close down without creating a new one. And this U is the last one. So if I draw consonants, I could have a bingo on my rack. So although the score doesn't justify playing this, given the rack leave, the fact that it's opening the board up does. Do I have something better? 8 minutes on my clock. So what about a play down onto the M? Well, I have Fainum. Is that a better play? Well, I'm thinking it is. Because of the score, it's 10 more points. Perhaps easier to block because a simple parallel play would achieve that, but then that would be leaving the bingo lanes alone in rows N and O. And when you're 110 points behind, you can't be losing too many points. Hence the point about Fainum scoring more than QF. And QF did stick the F underneath a double word square, so it did invite a high scoring response, as indeed it does in this spot. A lot of A's to come, only 2 I's. I'm going with this. I draw an S. I have a lot of vowels, but I kept 3 last turn, so that's not too surprising. The Y should help me get rid of the U if I could play AYU somewhere. But miles away from a bingo. I've only had Obeli on this game, and I nearly missed that. So now I have an S. Let me check my highs. I'm pretty sure it's good. Yes, it is. But I don't think a bingo is going to save me now, because the remaining tiles are pretty good. My opponent should be able to keep scoring. And opponent provides a couple of new floaters. They don't help me. So I'm looking at the triple letter square to the right of the N for my Y. That doesn't help. I can play IU here. 19 points. It's the play I wanted to make in terms of leaving the best rack leave. I can't see anywhere else for it. Arid takes an M in front, not particularly useful, but there is a blank out there. So IU for 19. And I draw more vowels, and look at the remaining vowels, only 4 out of 17. So if I play it off just a couple of vowels, A and D, I'll have a very strong 5-letter set. I don't think I have a playable bingo with this rack. I suspect there are some 8s with it, however. T, quite a useful floater. If I play off AE, I'll have satire. So let me play Ave. Ve, slightly better, 18 points. Six tiles in the bag, so I don't want to be playing off too many tiles. And the game is beyond me. I'm just trying to minimise the losing spread right now. And that's an important discipline to have, because in any tournament you will be losing games. And tournaments can be decided on spread, so you always want to be minimising the losing spread in games that are definitely lost. So Ve for 18. I have the Z, which is a good scoring tile. Do I have a bingo? Well, I don't. My opponent does. 66 points for him. And he's emptied the bag, and he's got gist on his rack. So he can play gist, ifs, and nat. Does he have a second out? I'm not sure he does. So, if I don't have a bingo, I should be looking to block his out. And I'm looking at this triple letter square, so I can play Zars for 38. Am I giving my opponent somewhere to play gist or gits? Don't think so. Do I have something better than Zars? 3 minutes on my clock. What about a play in column 3? Well, yes, I think this is quite nice. Zia's for 44, so it's more points. It's using more tiles. But it's also giving my opponent gist. I thought for a moment, well, Sif doesn't take an S, but it does take a T, so that's not a better play. What about a play in row B? Well, I have the tiles for ersatz, but it doesn't play. I can't see a play which gets doubled with the Z being tripled. I think the best I can do is Zatties, but then opponent can play Gits in row A. I think I'm going to play Zars. So, have I overlooked a spot for my opponent to go out? And one, well, I have airy. I was going to say I don't have an out, but I do have airy from the A of Zars. Do I have a second out? So what to do if that is blocked? Oh, I've just given my opponent a gist, so he does have an out. I'd probably score slightly less than Gits and Sift. So Zars may still be a better play than Zia's. Probably not much between them. And I think my opponent probably should go out. I don't think sometimes you can score more by going out in 2, even when you can go out in 1. I don't think this is one of those situations. Opponent has 10 minutes to find a gist or an alternative outplay. I'm looking around the board to see where he can go out, but I'm not seeing anywhere any additional spots. I can't see anything onto the Y, either of the Ys. Well, opponent misses a gist, or one small mercy, and I can go out with airy for 7. And the final score, 348 to me, 483 to my opponent, a winning margin of 135 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. I had this horror show and I played Chi, and I think that's probably still the right play. Great rack for my opponent. He plays in laced. And now I play with for 54, which looks fine. Great pickup from a bingo for my opponent. And wow, there was Sea Scout at E11. Double through the sea. He didn't play that. He played the triple word play Harrow sets for 83. This was my rack. And I think I changed here. I thought about climb, didn't like the rack leave, still don't like it. And yeah, looking down here, all of these rack leaves are pretty grim, and the scores are only in the teens, so I think changing is okay. Opponent plays axe, and he's now moved into a 140-point lead, so the best possible start for him. This was my rack. K9. Deft. Okay. Yep, I think that would have been the play. Instead, I played Drent for 5 fewer points and a worse rack leave. Opponent plays Jipper, which was a great spot. And now I played Fooled for 31, but Loof L10 and Axel. Yeah, I think a better play. Scores the same, but DEO a better rack leave than O. Horrible rack for my opponent. He plays My High. And now I have Obelion, my solitary bingo in this game. Opponent plays Duke, and he's 110 points ahead. I have quite a nice rack. What do I play here? I play Vo for 17, keeping near, which is a better rack leave. However, it's the same rack leave as Evohe, M11. Okay, I think Evohe would have been a better play because it would have opened up, well, both of the plays open up row N, but Evohe scores more. Opponent's rack plays Jugum. Now I draw vowels. And I play ear. For 16, I could have played the same tiles in column 8. Probably not much between those. Opponent short on vowels. Plays coerb. I have a pretty horrible rack. And I play Fainum for 20. Yeah, I think that's fine. Opponent quite a nice rack, but no bingo. Plays Deedle. I play IU for 19. And I think that leaves the best rack leave. Opponent plays Twin. And I play VAE for 18, which I think is fine. And now a great play by my opponent, Bevatron. Difficult one to spot with a B and a V. And now we're into the end game. Opponent's got Gist on his rack. And I thought about Zia's. It gave my opponent Gist, so I played Zia, or Zars rather, instead. Opponent does have an out, but just the one, which he missed. And that enables me to go out with Airy. So, a pretty brutal game. Opponent got off to a fantastic start, and I was struggling with pretty ropey racks, and they never really improved. I managed to squeak out just the solitary bingo, but apart from that, I didn't feel that my racks were really close to a bingo. But there are games like that. That is the nature of the game. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.